morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, June 18th. We prepare for trading today as investors await the latest retail sales data, and after the S&P 500 and NASDAQ notched fresh record closes yesterday. During regular trading, the S&P 500 jumped 41 points, or more than 0.75%. The NASDAQ added 168 points, or nearly 1%. The Dow also ended in the green, gaining 188 points, or about 0.5%. Bill, let's get into Tuesday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're flat this morning. We're up 0.02. I mean, we were down a little bit. For the most part, we've been trading a little higher. Cautiously higher is really, the call this morning. Key focus today, retail sales. That's going to be in focus. We get that retail sales report coming out this morning before the bell. Estimates are looking for a 0.20% gain in May. Remember, April's data was pretty soft, so this should be a positive. The market was really benefiting yesterday. I mean, a lot of the brokers are, putting out new S&P targets for the end of the year that are higher than their earlier targets. You heard from the Fed officials on Sunday and on Monday how they're expecting one rate cut in December this year. And that's actually positive because, at least they're talking rate cuts, not rate hikes. And today we got the calendar is packed full of a number of Fed speakers. So, that could be positive. Last night we got earnings from Lanier and Lazy Boy. They both came out with positive earnings. Lanier had some pricing margin issues. Boeing, I'm looking at shares of Boeing. They are trading down again this morning. The DOJ is considering taking action. Tomorrow, the CEO is supposed to be scheduled to appear before the Senate. They're having problems finding a replacement CEO, and that's going to weigh on the stock for a while until they get a new body in there. I mean, it's going to have a hard time getting some traction under its feet until they have, a management team in place. So I'm cautious on shares of Boeing, but optimistic. I'm looking overseas. I'm showing the DAX. The DAX is up 0.15%. That's 26 points. Listen, it was higher. It was up about 80 points earlier today. So it has pulled back. The thing about it is in Germany, they had that sentiment data came out. They're expecting to come in with a reading of 5.0. Came in at 47.5, which is up from the April reading, but still below that 50 mark. The FTSE's up 31 points, or 0.39%. They got that inflation data that's scheduled for release tomorrow. Our markets will be closed, but they're going to be open. And then the CAC is up by 28 points, or 0.38%. They got those elections coming up by June 30th. You got to keep an eye on that. Then we're looking last night in Asia. And Asia, saw green for the most part. Looking at the Nikkei up 1%, or 379 points. You're looking at Hong Kong. Hong Kong fell only slightly, 0.11%. It was up, but the sentiment turned cautious due to China launching an anti-dumping probe on pork imports from the EU. That's kind of their volley for, them putting on restrictions on EV vehicles. And there's concern about China's plan to stimulate the country's property sector. They don't think it's really working. But the Shanghai market did jump 0.48%, or 14.36 points. There's a PBOC meeting scheduled for Thursday where they're going to make an announcement on their loan prime rate. That could be something. Then we're keeping an eye on oil. I mean, oil's it's trading slightly lower right now. It's WTI is at $80.28, where Brent's at $84.18 a barrel. We're down fractionally. It was trading a little higher, but now it's weakening. Now the focus really is on the summer driving season here. And after the bell today, we get the API, American Petroleum. They're going to be releasing the stockpile estimates. Then, the EIA, which is the official numbers, that's not going to come out till Thursday at 11, 1 day and a half hour later than normal, because of the holiday on Wednesday. So that's going to put a lot of emphasis on the API stockpile estimates that are coming out this afternoon after the bell. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a draw in stockpiles today. So we got to keep an eye on oil very closely today. But that's what I have for you in terms of morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, you're watching a couple of things this morning, and we're going to get to more of these details throughout the day. You did mention a couple of earnings in your opening right at the top of that. So we're going to get into details on that now. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
Well, let's start off with Lazy Boy, ticker LZB, Larry Zebra Boy. Um, the fact is that Lazy Boy beat by 25 cents. They did it on higher revenue. That stock's up 9.71% this morning. Then we got Lanier, the home builder, ticker LEN, Larry Edward Nancy. They beat by 21 cents on higher revenue. There's some concerns on the guidance, and profit margins, and that's what's weighing on the stock. Stock's down 2.53% this morning. Upcoming, this afternoon we got KB Homes, another home builder, KBH, Kilo Boy Henry. Their EPS estimate is $1.79. Expected move is 7.22% when they come out. And then Thursday morning we have Accenture, ticker ACN, Apple Charlie Nancy. Their EPS estimate is $3.14. Expected move here is 6.81%. Then Kroger, the grocery store, KR, Kilo Richard, their EPS is $1.33. Its estimated move is 5.47% when they release on Thursday morning. So yeah, it's got some interesting ones to watch. But that's what I have for you in terms of earnings announcements, Emily.
Bill, the other thing we're keeping an eye on this morning are those economic events. The retail sales report was really the headline making one, but then there's also other reports and a whole host of Fed speak and watching for clues for what may come next in terms of monetary policy. We follow this day in and day out to really gather those details. So, Bill, what else are you seeing in terms of economic events today?
There's 8:30 a.m. we got retail sales. 9:15 a.m. we got industrial production. 10 a.m. we got business inventories. The key one is the retail sales. I mean, expect to come in at plus 0.2% for May. The industrial production is going to be released also in the pre-market. The estimates are coming in at a positive 0.4%. So that's all interesting. And then we got a host of Fed speak at 10 a.m. We're going to be hearing from Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin. At 11:40 a.m., Boston Fed Bank President Susan Collins. At 1 p.m., St. Louis Fed Bank President Alberto Masalm is going to be speaking. And then at 1 p.m., we're going to be hearing from Dallas Fed Bank President Laurie Logan. And then at 2 p.m., we're going to be hearing from Chicago Fed Bank President Austin Goolsbee. So yeah, it's going to be packed. We're going to listen to what these guys have to say, and that could cause some volatility in the markets today, Emily.
And Bill, watching all of that information using your NewsWare so you can see all of this as it comes out, especially that retail sales report, but also all of that Fed speak. And, as you pointed out, you're watching those earnings today and you're able to see that information as it comes out because you have alerts set up for that. You also are looking at other types of news, things like guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You can set up alerts for your stocks grouped together, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks, watching news, information, and data coming out of different sectors and segments. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just looking at my Dow stocks, I got 8 higher, 15 lower, the rest unchanged. The real big one really that's moving is Merck, which is up 1.33%. And then you're looking at your FANG stocks. I was seeing some slight gains in Netflix and Apple. Everything else is trading a little lower. Some news behind the tape. I mean, we're looking at Apple. It's shutting down its buy now, pay later service. Amazon, New York City workers are ratifying the plan to affiliate with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. I also see Amazon's pharmacy unit. They're going to be expanding their prescription drug coverage to some government entities for generic brands. Tesla, that Delaware trial gets underway today. This is the one on Musk's pay package. Remember, last week's shareholder vote does not mean the judge is going to concede their earlier position. So that's just supporting evidence for Tesla, but it doesn't mean that the outcome is going to change. You just got to keep an eye on those events. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're talking Boeing. The DOJ is deliberating whether to prosecute Boeing or not. CEO is going to be appearing before the Senate tomorrow. And he's departing soon, so they got to find somebody else to take its place. And until that happens, the stock, will remain weak. Merck, they got an FDA approval for this vaccine for a pneumonial disease drug they have out there. In terms of merger news, Silk, ticker SILK, Sam, India, Larry, Kilo, Boston Scientific is going to be acquiring Silk Road Medical for $27.50 a share. We're talking guidance news. Lazy Boy sees Q1 revenue coming in 475 to 495 million. Street estimate was 475.65, so that's a big uptick because that's really on the low end. We're talking shareholders meetings. MasterCard, ticker MA. Michael Apple, they're having a shareholders meeting today. Starts at 8:30 a.m. A Ball Corp, ticker BALL. Ball, Boy, Apple, Larry. They're having an investors day today that's going to start at noon. Talking share buybacks. Ticker LNG. Larry, Nancy Grace, Cheniere Energy. They announced a $4 billion stock repurchasing plan. That's what I have for you about news in the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
Kroger, ticker KR, Kilo Richard. Earnings are coming out Thursday morning. EPS is at $1.33. Expected move is 5.47%. Okay, let's take a look at yesterday's call volume. 15,387 versus put volume of 11,998. That's positive. Then you look at the open interest. 211,386 versus 67,436. Wow, that's a big difference. Major brokers positive in the stock. They're raising price targets across the board. Stock's up, this morning, but I'm hoping to get some weakness in the morning. I definitely have to get in under 52. I'm thinking 51.40 is my, price target. I think that's very doable today. Market could open up a week, and if it does, that weakness could become bigger, and we could see a little bit of selling here. So if I can get in under 51.50, I'd be thrilled. But that's my pick of the day. Kroger, ticker KR, Kilo Richard, Emily.
Keeping your eyes on Kroger at a discount this morning ahead of those earnings on Thursday. We will also follow that along with you today. And coming up, we're going to do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day. We heard you mention the stock during your earnings rundown, and we're going to do a recap on that. So stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Bank of America survey, investors remain confident on Fed rate cuts. Citibank lifts its S&P 500 target range to 5,600. JP Morgan lifts Apple stock price amid the upgrade cycle for AI-capable phones. Yeah, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing for that stock. A lot of people will upgrade to these new phones because of that. Pfizer, the state of Kansas is suing Pfizer, accusing them of misleading the public on its COVID-19 vaccine risks. Musk and Tesla. Musk, came out and tweeted about the new master plan. Said it's going to be epic. ExxonMobil, a judge dismissed a lawsuit against the company filed by a firm that they agreed not to pursue any future proxy filings at this time at the annual meeting. Caterpillar, CAT, Charlie Apple Tom, company's former Russian assets have been transferred to a company owned by American investment fund Belchung Capital. EV startup Fisker files for bankruptcy, aims to sell assets. Yeah, we knew they were wrong. We knew that was that. Boy, these semiconductors are getting a lot of price target raises as of late. Ticker ALIT, ALIT is going to be doing a 75 million accelerated share buyback. And that's all I see this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading today, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day. You mentioned the stock during your earnings rundown. It was Lennar, the home builder. As you told us, they did have a beat on higher revenue. They reported an earnings of $3.45 per share for the second quarter, which beat the analyst estimates of $3.24 per share. Revenue for the period came in at $8.77 billion. That was a growth of 9% from a year earlier and topped analyst estimates of $8.48 billion. Now, they did cut their average home price in the quarter to $426,000, and that was from $449,000 a year ago. And it did deliver 19,690 homes during the period, and that was versus about 18,000 units a year earlier. Now, you mentioned how the forecast was a little light. It did miss in terms of its third quarter forecast on home deliveries. They're now saying between 20,500 to 21,000 homes. And, analysts at the midpoint were looking for 20,917 homes. So a lot of numbers to sit through there. Their earnings report was pretty strong. That forecast investors aren't loving this morning. But Bill, you were trading this one yesterday ahead of earnings. How did your call work out?
It actually worked out well. I mean, the stock opened up at 154.93, and then it fell to 153.50. Then it recovered, came back, and actually hit a high of 157.42 and closed at 156.61. And then after the market closed, I saw it hit 161.99. Then the earnings came out. When they got a little weak after that. Well, could you made 1% from the opening price? Absolutely. I mean, I wanted to get in under 155. I said, and sure enough, it opened up underneath that. That was a positive. And did it trade a buck and a half higher? It traded much more higher than that. So, Lennar, ticker LEN, Larry Edward Nancy was a winner yesterday, Emily.
You were able to get a win out with that one, Bill, and we will check with you on Thursday about today's Kroger pick of the day. Tomorrow, markets are closed in observance of the Juneteenth holiday, so we will be back on Thursday. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. As I said, join us back here Thursday at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.